I found out I won the lottery sitting on the edge of my bed in beat-up sweatpants with a hole at the knee. No music swelling. No slow motion. Just my phone at 9% battery, a cracked screen, and a coffee I'd reheated twice and still didn't drink. I almost didn't check the numbers. I'm not a lottery guy. I buy a ticket every few months when I'm at the gas station and the machine is right there. It's not optimism. It's habit. Like throwing a quarter into a fountain when you walk past one. I don't even scratch them right away sometimes. I shove them in my wallet and forget. That night I was bored and a little restless. I'd had one of those days where nothing goes wrong, but nothing feels right either. I was scrolling, half watching a YouTube video I wasn't really watching, and I remembered the ticket in my wallet. I pulled it out, flattened it on my nightstand, and opened the official results page. I read the numbers out loud, quietly, like it mattered. First match. Second match. Third match. I stopped breathing without realizing it. Like my body just paused. Fourth match. I made this little sound, not even a laugh. More like disbelief. Like my brain was waiting for the punchline. Fifth match. I stared at the screen. Then the ticket. Then the screen again. I checked the date. The drawing number. Everything. My fingers were tingling. My ears felt weirdly hot. I remember putting the phone down for a second because my hand was shaking. It wasn't the kind of money where you disappear to an island. It wasn't buy a yacht money, but it was enough to knock the air out of me. Enough to wipe my debt clean. Enough to pay off my mortgage. Enough to make the next 10 years not feel like one long treadmill. For maybe 30 seconds, I felt this stupid, pure joy. Then it turned into dread so fast it made me nauseous. Because I know people. And I know family. Money doesn't just sit quietly in your bank account. It changes the way other people look at you. It changes what they think is reasonable. It changes how quickly they can justify taking something from you. I didn't post anything. I didn't text my friends. I didn't even tell my group chat. I called my mom. She picked up fast, like she was already awake. "What's going on?" she said. "Are you okay?" "I think I won," I said. Silence. Won what? The lottery. Another silence. Longer. And I could hear her breathing change like she sat up. "Stop," she whispered. "How much?" I told her. She made this sound like she tried to swallow a gasp, and it came out anyway. "Oh my God," she said. Then again, like she needed to hear herself say it twice. "Oh my God." We talked in circles for a few minutes. I kept repeating the numbers. She kept asking if I was sure. She started saying things like, "This could change everything," and then immediately walked it back like she didn't want to jinx it. Before we hung up, she said, "Don't tell anyone yet." "I won't," I said. I meant it. I didn't want this to become a thing. I looked at the call log afterward, just out of habit. 9:38 p.m. I set my phone down. I sat there staring at the ticket like it could evaporate. Like a strong gust of air would make the whole night a hallucination. Then my phone buzzed. Uncle Radu. I almost ignored it because we don't really text. Not like that. Birthdays. Holidays. The occasional dumb forwarded meme he thinks is hilarious. I opened it. Half is mine. "I told you good luck on your birthday." No smiley face this time. No LOL. Just the sentence. I stared at it. Then I looked at the time. 9:58 p.m. 20 minutes after the drawing results posted. My stomach did this slow drop. I wrote back, trying to keep it light. "Half. That's expensive luck." He replied immediately. "Energy is energy. Don't forget who put it into the universe." I sat there with my thumb hovering over the screen. That was the first moment the win stopped feeling like mine. Because his message wasn't congrats. It wasn't "I'm happy for you." It was a claim. Soft, but a claim. And what made it worse was the familiarity of it. Radu has always had this way of saying things that are technically jokes, but only until you push back. Then suddenly it's not a joke. It's your attitude that's the problem. When I was 19, he joked that since he used to drive me to school sometimes, I owed him my first paycheck. When I got my first decent job, he joked that I could finally start paying him back for all the support. He always does it with a grin and a little laugh like it's harmless. And if you don't laugh, you're the weird one. My phone buzzed again. "You're not ignoring me, right?" Then again, a few seconds later. I was kidding about half. But seriously, family shares blessings. Blessings. That word hit like a wet glove. It's the kind of word people use when they want to sound moral while asking for something. I didn't answer. Then, without my good luck message, who knows? I felt my hands shaking again, but not from excitement. I typed, carefully, because I could already feel the trap. "It's not even claimed yet. Let me breathe." The typing bubbles appeared instantly. So had true. I froze. I hadn't actually confirmed it. Not directly. Then he sent. I knew it. Your mom called my sister. Of course. Of course the information had already started moving through the family like spilled water. Then, listen, I'm not greedy. I'm just saying we're blood. We lift each other. I put my phone face down on the bed. The joy I'd had earlier was thinning out like it was leaking away through a crack. I felt this before with him. That slow, suffocating pressure of small favors. A loan that takes forever to come back, if it ever does. Storing his tools in someone's garage for a few weeks, that turns into years. A business idea you're expected to fund because if you don't believe in family. Nothing criminal. Nothing you can point at and say this is the moment he crossed the line. Just erosion. My phone buzzed again. If you don't want to talk on text, we can meet tomorrow. And then, right after, don't be like that. Like what? I hadn't even said anything. I flipped the phone over and typed. I'm not being anything. I'm processing. He replied right away. Processing what? It's simple. We're family. That word again. Family. In his mouth, it didn't sound like comfort. It sounded like obligation. For the first time since I checked the numbers, I felt something heavier than fear. I felt claimed. Like the win wasn't something I got to celebrate because someone else had already reached into it and started counting. At 10:17 p.m., my mom called again. Did he text you? She asked immediately. Yes. She sighed like she was already tired. He's excited. Don't take it seriously. What did you tell him? I asked. I just said you might have won something, she said quickly. I didn't say how much. He knew enough to say half, I said. She went quiet for a second. I might have said it was significant, she admitted. I closed my eyes. Mom, he's your uncle, she said, like that explained everything. He doesn't mean harm. That sentence is family duct tape. It gets slapped over anything uncomfortable. He asked for half, I said. He was joking. He followed up like 3 times. She didn't answer that. She just breathed. Then she said softly, maybe if you give him something small, it won't turn into a problem. There it was. Not you should. Not you have to. Just the quiet suggestion that I should pay to keep peace. Why would I give him anything? I asked. To keep peace, she repeated. I looked at the ticket on my nightstand, and it didn't feel like a blessing anymore. It felt like a flare that had just lit up every crack in the foundation. I haven't even claimed it, I said. I know, she replied. Just think about it. After we hung up, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying old moments and hearing his voice in them, hearing the pattern. The pattern wasn't loud. It never was. It was calm, reasonable sounding, moral. It framed itself as fairness, as shared history, as emotional debt. Around midnight, another message came through. I couldn't sleep. I keep thinking about it. Imagine what we could do with that money. We, not you, not me, we. I turned my phone off. And for the first time since those numbers matched, I wished I hadn't checked at all. I didn't turn my phone back on until almost 9 the next morning. I just sat there on the edge of my bed for a minute, staring at it like it was going to explode. My brain felt foggy. I think I slept maybe 2 hours total. When I powered it on, it lit up like a Christmas tree. 8 messages from Radu. 2 from Mom. 1 from the family group chat. 1 from Alina. I opened Radu's first. 12:17 a.m. You awake? 12:24 a.m. We should talk like adults. 12:41 a.m. I'm not asking for charity. 12:58 a.m. You know how much I've done for this family. 1:12 a.m. Don't let money change you. That last one irritated me more than the rest. We hadn't even had a full conversation yet, and somehow I was already the guy who changed. I opened the family group chat. Radu had posted one of those generic quote images. A blurry sunset with white script over it. True wealth is measured by how much you share, not how much you keep. No caption, no tag. Just dropped into the chat like a grenade with the pin pulled. Nobody responded, but everyone had seen it. Then I opened Alina's message. Hey, I'm sorry if Dad is being weird. That word again. Weird. I typed back. What did he say? She replied after a few minutes. He's just excited. He thinks you'll help with some things. Like what? There was a pause. Then, don't make me say it. I stared at the screen. I haven't even claimed it, I wrote. He said you basically confirmed it. I didn't. 3 dots. He says you implied it. Of course he does. That's his specialty. Implication. He'll say something half-formed, and then act like you filled in the rest yourself. I set the phone down and rubbed my face. For years, Radu had survived on implication. He'd imply he sacrificed. He'd imply he deserved appreciation. He'd imply that helping him was the moral, adult choice. And if you resisted, Suddenly you were cold. Ungrateful. Sensitive. By 9:30 a.m., he called. I let it ring. He called again. I answered on the third try because I knew he wouldn't stop. Morning, he said, overly upbeat. Morning. So, he said, big night. It hasn't even been processed yet, I replied. But it will be. Not a question. Just confidence. I didn't respond. He cleared his throat. Listen, I was thinking. I figured. I don't want this to get weird between us. It already is, I thought. Then don't make it weird, I said. A small pause. Come on, he said. You know I was joking about half. You also said 30% was fair. I was throwing out numbers, he said quickly. That's not the point. What is the point? The point is we're family. When something good happens, it doesn't just belong to one person. There it was again. The collective ownership logic. It was my ticket, I said. Sure, he replied. Technically. He continued before I could respond. You're one guy. You don't have kids. You don't have the responsibilities I do. There it was. The hierarchy argument. You're stable, he added. You've always been stable. That almost made me laugh. I've worked my ass off to be stable. That wasn't luck. That was overtime, skipped vacations, saying no to stuff I wanted. You remember when your dad had that rough year? He said. Yes. Who stepped in? You loaned him money, I said. And he paid you back. That's not the point. It never is. The point, he said, his voice tightening, is that I've always shown up. By asking to be repaid. I'm not asking to be repaid, he snapped. I'm saying we support each other. By transferring you 30% of my winnings? I said that was extreme, he shot back. But realistically, 25 would make sense. There it was again. The sliding scale. You're negotiating, I said flatly. I'm trying to be reasonable. With money that isn't yours. You wouldn't even have it without luck. And luck belongs to you. It belongs to the family. I stood up and started pacing my bedroom without even thinking about it. Do you hear yourself? I asked. Do you hear how selfish you sound? He fired back. Selfish. That word again. For what exactly? I asked. For not giving you a quarter of something you didn't earn? For everything I've done. List it. He hesitated. That's disrespectful. No, I said. If I owe you tens of thousands of dollars, itemize it. Silence. Then, more quietly. I didn't realize you saw me that way. Saw him what way? As someone who keeps score, he said. You're the one keeping score, I replied. His breathing got heavier. Fine, he said. Forget percentages. I waited. Loan me $50,000. I'll invest it properly. You'll get returns. We both win. There it was. The real pitch. Not karma. Not blessings. Capital. No, I said immediately. You didn't even think about it. I have thought about it. For years. What does that mean? It means this isn't the first time you've tried to get me into one of your investments. That was different. Was it? He raised his voice slightly. You're acting like I'm some kind of scam artist. I'm acting like I don't want to hand you $50,000. You're overreacting. You texted me 20 minutes after the draw asking for half. I was excited for you. You claimed a share. I was joking. You followed up 6 times. You ignored me. Because it wasn't funny. Silence. Then he said it. I don't recognize you. That landed harder than I expected. Because part of me didn't recognize myself either. I've always been the one who keeps things smooth. Who laughs things off. Who gives a little just so it doesn't become a whole thing. I have an appointment to claim it today, I said. Good, he replied. We'll sit down tonight. It wasn't a request. It was a plan he'd already decided on. Before I could respond, he added, don't embarrass yourself by being small. And then he hung up. I stood there staring at my phone, my reflection faint in the cracked glass. Yesterday, I felt lucky. Today, I felt audited. And the worst part wasn't the money. It was realizing that if I gave him anything now, even something small to keep peace, it would never stop. It would just confirm that pressure works. At 11:12 a.m., my mom texted. He's upset. Maybe just talk calmly tonight. Calmly. Like I was the volatile one. I looked at the ticket sitting on my dresser. For the first time since I'd seen those numbers match, I didn't feel excitement. I felt like I was walking into a negotiation I never agreed to join. Claiming the money was weirdly anticlimactic. I drove to the lottery office in the middle of the day like I was running an errand. The building looked like a DMV that tried to rebrand. Fluorescent lights. Cheap chairs bolted to the floor. A guy in front of me arguing about paperwork. When it was my turn, the woman behind the desk asked for my ID and the ticket. She was polite, but bored. Like I was the fourth life-changing moment she'd processed before lunch. She scanned it, tapped a few keys, looked at her screen, then looked at me. Congratulations, she said. in a tone that suggested she'd said that word 1,000 times. I nodded like I'd just been told my oil change was done. I signed forms, initialed boxes, confirmed my bank information. She explained taxes in a monotone that made it feel like I was signing up for a gym membership, not receiving a payout that would erase years of stress. When it was over, she handed the ticket back to me. "For your records," she said. I stared at it. It looked cheap. Thin paper, faded ink, validation stamp over the numbers. I folded it once and slid it into my wallet. Not because I needed to, because it felt like proof. Like if someone tried to rewrite what happened, I'd have something physical to point at. By 6 p.m., I was at my mom's house. Same kitchen table we've sat at for birthdays, holidays, fights that never got fully resolved. The table where peace is always prioritized over honesty. Radu showed up 10 minutes late. He walked in like nothing was wrong, gave my mom a hug, smiled at me like this was just another Sunday dinner. "So," he said, pulling out a chair. The lucky man. I didn't smile. We sat down. Coffee was poured. No one touched it. "I'm glad we're doing this face-to-face," he said. "Texting makes everything sound worse." "You asked for 30%, I said. My mom inhaled sharply. Radu held up a hand. "I threw out numbers," he said calmly. "That wasn't a demand. You negotiated down to 25. I was trying to be realistic. With money that isn't yours." He sighed, like I was being exhausting. "This is what I mean," he said. "You're immediately hostile." "I'm not hostile," I said. "I'm clear." He leaned back, studying me. "You know what bothers me?" he said. "You didn't even call me. I had to hear it from someone else." "I didn't call anyone except Mom. And she called her sister. I can't control that." He nodded slowly, like he was conceding a small point. "Fine," he said. "Let's reset." "Reset?" Like we were in a business meeting. "I don't need 30%, he continued. That was exaggerated. I waited. "But we both know you came into a significant amount of money. You're stable. You're single. You don't have kids. And I have responsibilities," he said. "Alina's future. The house." "Yes. Who helped?" "You loaned him money," I said. "He paid you back." "It wasn't about the repayment," he said, sharper now. "It was about being there. And I'm not there." He looked at me directly. "Not if you're sitting on money while family struggles." There it was. The accusation. "I'm not sitting on it," I said. "I literally just claimed it today." "But you will be," he replied. "And you'll invest it. And grow it. And live comfortably." I felt my jaw tighten. "I worked for my comfort," I said. "You bought a ticket," he shot back. Silence. That line hit harder than he intended, I think. "You think this was just handed to me?" I asked. "In a way, yes." "Then buy a ticket next time," I said. His expression changed slightly. "Don't mock me." "I'm not mocking you. I'm pointing out how this works." He exhaled hard. "Fine," he said. "Forget percentages." I didn't move. "Loan me 50,000, he said. "One time. I'll invest it properly. You'll get returns." "I'm not asking for charity." "No," I said immediately. "You didn't even think about it." "I have thought about it," I said. "Every time you've had a new business idea." His face tightened. "That's unfair." "What's unfair is you positioning this like I owe you." "I never said you owe me." "You implied it." He slammed his hand lightly on the table. Not violent. Just enough to make the cups rattle. "You're twisting my words." "I'm repeating them." My mom's eyes filled with tears. "Please don't do this," she said. Radu lowered his voice. "You know what people are saying?" he asked. "What people?" "That money's already changing you." I almost laughed. "I've had the money for less than 24 hours. And you're already guarding it." "Yes," I said. "Because this is exactly why." He leaned in. "You've always been like this," he said quietly. "Even as a kid. You hated sharing." There it was. Flashbacks hit fast. The bike he wanted me to lend to Alina for the whole summer. The gaming console he borrowed and returned scratched. The cosign request when I was barely out of college. Selfish. That word again. "I was a child," I said. "And now you're a man," he replied. "Act like one." "By wiring you $50,000? By honoring family." There was no yelling. No screaming. Just calm, steady pressure. Like a vice. "I'm not giving you 30%, I said. "I'm not giving you 25. And I'm not loaning you 50,000. He went still. "You've never said no to me like this before," he said. He was right. That was the problem. I reached into my wallet and pulled out the ticket. I placed it on the table between us. He stared at it. "This," I said, tapping it lightly, "is a piece of paper." "It's more than that," he said immediately. "No," I replied. "It's not." I stood up and walked to the drawer by the stove. I knew where my mom kept the scissors. Don't be dramatic, he said. I unfolded the ticket. My hands were shaking. Not heroically, not steadily, just shaking. I cut it once. Crooked. A small piece fell to the floor. My mom gasped. What are you doing? Radu demanded. I cut it again. It's already processed, I said. It's legally recorded. The paper means nothing. I kept cutting until it was just strips. Tiny pieces of something that had caused 24 hours of chaos. I scooped them up in my palm. Took out my phone. Took a picture. Sent it to him. There's nothing left to argue over, I said. He stared at his phone as it buzzed. Then at the counter. Then at me. You're insane, he said. No, I replied. I'm done. My mom was crying quietly now. You're throwing away family over money, he said. No, I said softly. You are. He picked up his jacket. I see who you've become, he said. And he left. The door didn't slam. It just closed. And somehow that was worse. The house felt different after he left. Not louder. Not chaotic. Just hollow. My mom sat at the table staring at the little paper strips like they were ashes from something that used to be intact. You didn't have to do that, she said finally. Yes, I did. You could have just said no. I've been saying no, I said. He just wasn't hearing it. She wiped her eyes with the corner of a napkin. He feels humiliated. I let that sit there. So do I said. That made her look up. Not defensive, just surprised. I didn't realize it felt like that, she said quietly. It always feels like that, I replied. It's just never been this much money before. That was the truth of it. The money didn't create the dynamic. It amplified it. The next couple of days were quiet in that unnatural way families get quiet when something has happened, but no one wants to name it. No more texts from Radu. No more late-night messages about energy. But the silence wasn't neutral. It was charged. On the third day, my aunt called. Your uncle is really hurt, she said carefully. He says you embarrassed him. He asked me for a quarter of my winnings, I said. He was joking. He negotiated. She sighed. He feels like you think he's a thief. I didn't answer that. Because I didn't think he was a thief. I thought he was someone who convinces himself that wanting something badly enough makes it morally justified. That's harder to argue against. I didn't post anything in the family group chat. I didn't defend myself. I didn't send screenshots. I realized pretty quickly that anyone who wanted to believe I overreacted would believe that no matter what I said. Alina called me that week. Not text. Called. I'm sorry, she said immediately. For what? For him. You don't control him. I know, she said. But I know how he is. We were quiet for a second. He really thought you'd give him something, she added. I know. He says you've changed. Have I? She paused. No, she said softly. You just stopped folding. That hit harder than anything else anyone said. Because it was true. I've always been the one who smooths things over. Who gives a little just to avoid the fight. Who laughs at the jokes. This time I didn't. A week later, the money officially cleared. Seeing the balance in my account felt surreal. Not euphoric. Just steady. Like the ground beneath me had gotten thicker. I paid off my mortgage first. One transfer. Years of monthly anxiety gone in under a minute. I sat there afterward, just staring at the confirmation email. It didn't feel flashy. It felt quiet. Like setting down a heavy backpack you've been carrying so long you forgot what your shoulders feel like without it. I set aside what I needed for taxes. Moved a big chunk into conservative investments. Nothing dramatic. No new car posts. No social media hints. I did one more thing. I transferred money to my mom. Not an insane amount. Not enough to start rumors. Enough to renovate her kitchen like she's talked about for years. New cabinets. Replace the old appliances that hum like they're tired of existing. I told her it was a gift. Not a negotiation. Not leverage. Not repayment. Just a gift. She cried again. Your uncle will say this proves you had enough to help him, she said. I know, I replied. And I'm okay with that. Because that was the difference. I chose this. No pressure. No emotional invoice. About a month later, I saw Radu at a cousin's birthday party. We made eye contact across the room. He walked over. Shook my hand. Doing well, he asked. Yeah, I said. You? Can't complain. And that was it. Polite. Neutral. Distant. Like we were co-workers who used to be closer. No apology. No acknowledgement of what happened. Just a quiet rewrite where I'm the one who took it too far. And maybe that's the part that still stings. Not that he asked. Not even that he pushed. But that he genuinely believes he was wronged when I refused. Sometimes I think about those first 30 seconds after I saw the numbers match. That small pocket of pure excitement before the text started. I miss that version of the story. The one where I just won. Not the one where I learned exactly how conditional some relationships are. Money didn't ruin my family. It revealed the pressure points. It showed me that some bonds feel warm only as long as you're not holding something they want. I don't regret cutting up the ticket. The money was already secure. The paper was just a symbol, and I needed him to see that I wasn't negotiating over symbols. The money is invested now. Quiet, growing, stable. My relationship with him is functional. Holiday texts, short conversations. No more business ideas. No more implied debts. We exist in parallel. Related, not close. And I guess that's the bittersweet part. I didn't lose half my lottery winnings. I lost the illusion that we're family automatically means you're safe. And as uncomfortable as that clarity is, I'd rather have it than spend the rest of my life paying to keep the peace. Didn't expect this to get this much attention. If you read the whole thing, thanks. I appreciate it. I mostly wrote it to get it out of my head. Reading your comments helped more than I thought it would. Still figuring things out. But I don't regret saying no. That's it.